It is the winter of 1950. United States and Allied troops are pushing deep into the jagged, snow-covered mountains of North Korea. But as the column advances, the landscape suddenly comes alive. 30,000 Allied troops realize they have walked directly into a massive encirclement. This tactical map illustrates the scale of the trap. The Allied troops are surrounded by 120,000 hidden Chinese soldiers, a 4-to-1 numerical disadvantage in one of the most remote regions on Earth. The enemy forces had been lying in wait, camouflaged against the stark white terrain, pouring out of the mountain ridges to close the perimeter. Facing an army 4 times your size is a tactical nightmare. Yet for the men on the ground, the enemy soldiers are about to become secondary to the environment itself. The temperature plummets to -40 degrees. The climate at the Chosin Reservoir acts as an indiscriminate opposing force. At these temperatures, the basic physics of military hardware fail. The oil lubricating the weapons freezes solid, causing rifles and heavy machine guns to jam in the middle of firefights. The biology of survival breaks down just as fast. Medics watch their liquid supplies turn into useless blocks of ice. The air is so cold that the blood of wounded soldiers freezes before it has a chance to clot. Surrounded and freezing, the Allied forces look to General Oliver P. Smith. His response to the surrounding enemy is clear. Retreat? Hell, we're just attacking in another direction. That order changed the objective. It was no longer a standard withdrawal, but an offensive escape against both an overwhelming army and the terrain itself. Moving a 30,000-man column is a massive logistical challenge on a paved highway. Pushing that same column through a mountainous, frozen wasteland while under fire requires extreme coordination. The troops refuse to leave anyone behind. They pull sleds carrying their wounded and fallen comrades through blinding blizzards, relying on collective willpower to keep moving forward. They face constant hit-and-run attacks from the surrounding ridges. Combined with severe frostbite, sleep deprivation, and starvation, the combat effectiveness of the unit drops with every mile. As the column slowly grinds its way south, the troops approach what should be the final major checkpoint on their route to safety. They have proven they can survive the cold and the ambushes through sheer endurance. But pure grit cannot solve the physical reality of the cliff edge waiting ahead. The route home runs directly through Funchilin Pass. It is a narrow, highly elevated bottleneck and the only way out of the mountains. But the Chinese army reached the pass first. The only bridge spanning a deep chasm has been completely blown apart. Building a new bridge from scratch is impossible. The ground is frozen too solid to drive pylons. There are no local timber or steel materials to scavenge, and the engineers are standing in a blinding snowstorm. The column of 30,000 men, their tanks and their wounded, are stranded at the edge of the cliff. The enemy forces are steadily closing the gap behind them. They have reached the final, impassable obstacle of the retreat. With the bridge gone and the perimeter shrinking, the column is physically trapped. The situation forces the United States Air Force into an extreme logistical gamble. If the Army can't build a bridge from the ground, they will drop one from the sky. This schematic shows the mechanics of the plan. Cargo planes fly through severe weather to drop multi-ton steel bridge sections into the wilderness using massive parachutes. Working exposed on the cliff edge, under sporadic enemy fire, engineers wrestle the heavy drops into position. They spend hours in the blizzard, locking the steel sections together over the empty drop. This successful assembly marks the first time an entire bridge was dropped from the sky, an engineering triumph that directly bypassed a lethal geographical trap. The makeshift bridge holds. The trapped column pushes across the span, securing a path out of the mountains for their vehicles, their surviving troops, and their fallen. Those who survived the cold and continuous combat of that retreat earned a specific title, the Chosin Few. The level of heroism required to make it out of that reservoir is documented in the records. Soldiers in that single engagement were awarded 17 Medals of Honor, the most ever given for a single battle in U.S. history. The Battle of Chosin Reservoir shows exactly what happens when technology fails and the environment turns hostile. Even backed against a cliff edge in freezing temperatures, collective endurance and ingenuity can force a way forward.